Welcome back to Mirror Readings. I'm your host, Molly, and welcome to my home studio. Today we're going to be talking about gene key number 1. And gene key number 1 is represented by the first Chinese hexagram, which is the 6 unbroken lines. This is a male configuration that represents the primary code for creating life. So that's contrasted with gene key number 2, which is the 6 broken lines, which is a female configuration. So gene key 1 has the shadow of entropy, the gift of freshness, and the city of beauty. Entropy is defined by the measure of disorder or unavailability of energy within a closed system. So the more entropy there is within a system, the less creative energy there is. And the less creative energy we have, the more unhappy we are. But this feeling, this visceral experience of entropy is an indicator that we need to recharge and to regain our creative impulse. It's not an indicator that we're going to experience entropy forever. So rather than repressing this feeling and risk sinking into depression or becoming frenetic in the reactive state, we must turn our attention to the gift of freshness. And freshness is what we bring to our perspective to elevate it. And that's how we change our attitude. And remember, the gene keys systems, this whole matrix of the shadow, the gift, the city, it's about different attitude states, and recognizing these specific states of being within ourselves allows us to change our attitude, change our perspective, and free up more creative energy. There's an inherent joy in bringing freshness to our perspective, right? No matter what our perspective is, injecting it with freshness is bringing light to darkness. So in the first gene key, this is like the evolutionary thrust that we need to go from being bummed out about entropy to entering the natural cycle of recharge and rebirth of that creative energy. So freshness is where light emerges from the darkness. And every time we give ourselves the gift of changing our attitude, we are reliving our own little miniature version of the creation myth. Yes, it's true. Turn your life into the hero's journey in your own heart and mind, and you're gonna have way more fun. I guarantee it. This gift of freshness wants to be expressed fully, right? It is the injection of creative energy. Even if the only creative energy we can muster in a state of entropy, right, where we need to recharge, is changing our perspective to know that that creative energy is going to come back, right? Instead of just like giving into the melancholy of not feeling creative. So this gift wants us to express ourselves fully, and it automatically injects light into any darkness we're experiencing, and that light spreads out to the people that we're sharing time with. Fresh flowers, no matter how fresh they are, how freshly bloomed, they wilt, all right? But then they grow back. That's how it is with our creative energy. And when we bring a fresh perspective to the shadow frequency of entropy, we are recharging ourselves just by going with the flow of that entropic feeling. And we're preparing ourselves physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally for that burst of creativity to come again. Any of you who are creatives know that the creative process can be a little bit unpredictable, but trust it, because this first gene key is the foundation on which we build our trust and divine timing into our relationship with life itself, right? This is the foundation on which all of our trust in all of life is built. It's seeing the cycles. And when we see the cycles and we find beauty in the cycles, all right, then we're already on our way towards the city of beauty. And again, the cities are features of the perspective of enlightened masters. And it's useful to have this built into our gene keys because then we know what to orient towards. We can imagine what it feels like very specifically to have the perspective of an enlightened master. So the city of beauty unifies the whole, because to achieve this citic state is to see the beauty in everything, including absence. Our limited human perspective orients beauty towards what's in front of us, right? What we can see, what we can hear, what we can perceive. But beauty unifies us with the whole, because rather than appreciating the presence of something tangible, we appreciate beauty in everything. It's an integration point that lies beyond duality, and it includes the appreciation of entropy itself. It sees where we can be creative within entropy. And this notion is pretty incomprehensible to our everyday consciousness, but you're not studying the gene keys because you're interested in everyday consciousness, are you? Right? As we expand beyond our limited perspective, we find creative energy in every single aspect of the human experience. And that's where it's at. Another important note on this gene key from the big book, which I highly recommend getting if you're studying this system, is that the gift of freshness relies on one immortal truth. Creativity can never be controlled. And this time of recharging that I've described is typically alone time. We don't know when our creative energy is going to return to us, but developing that trust that it will return and seeing the recharge time alone, being able to be alone with ourselves and alone with that uncertainty of not knowing when that creative pulse is going to come back, is sacred time. And it's essential to stabilizing in our gift frequency. And remember, the gifts are what magnetize our manifestations. Our shadows block it. If you have Gene Key 1 anywhere in your profile, you are meant to be an example of trusting the creative process. You're also probably meant to be a leader of some kind, even if you don't feel like you are, because anyone with this gift is likely to be singled out as a natural born leader, even if you're not the least bit interested in being followed by others. Those are the best kinds of leaders. So trust yourself and trust the rhythm of life and your own creativity. So that's it for Gene Key 1. We did it, y'all. Thanks for being here with me. I'm your host, Molly. This is Mirror Readings. And if you'd like to do a Gene Keys reading with me, all subscribers to this channel get 15% off. You can view my offerings at mirrorreadings.com and email me mirrorreadings@gmail.com to set up an appointment. Thanks, and see y'all next time.